Sarah Strong filled up the stat sheet, and KK Arnold put in a season high as UConn rolled through the Big East semis into Monday night's Big East championship game. This is Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Monday and welcome back to another episode of Locked On UConn. I am Matt Schonvisky, a two-time graduate, 10-year credentialed media member, and host of the only daily UConn sports podcast, Locked On UConn, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and thank you for making this your first listen each and every single day. On today's show, I will start with the overall route of Creighton in the Big East semis as UConn took down the Blue Jays by 49 points. Then, Sarah Strong and KK Arnold delivered on both ends of the court. It's a recipe for disaster for opponents. I'll tell you what I mean. And finally, UConn, Villanova for a championship. I'll look ahead to Monday night's final. But first, this episode is brought to you by Mazda. We put that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. So Sunday saw UConn absolutely dominate in the semifinals of a conference tournament game, 100-51. A game that, start to finish, UConn absolutely owned. And it began on the defensive side of the floor because Creighton could not get into anything. And we're going to talk in the second segment on Sarah Strong and KK Arnold and what they bring to the table on the defensive side of the floor. But before we do, let's just go through the stats. UConn improves to 33-0, 20-0 in conference play. And it was Sarah Strong that led the way offensively with 23 points in just 25 minutes. 9 of 11 from the field. It's 2 shots. Perfect from 3, 4-4. 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 steals, 3 blocks. And my goodness, even when the ball's in her hand, she's just dominating the game, owning the game, dictating the pace and play of the game. What she brings to the table is so good that second segment, we're going to talk about it. But it's unfair for opponents. I would just say that. KK Arnold, we're going to talk about her in the second segment as well. She had 18 points in 15 minutes, 8 of 9 from the field. It's a season high by 5 points that she had, and she tied her season high. And it was just 5 minutes in, not even 5 minutes into the second quarter. She had quite the game as well. Also delivered with 4 assists. And then AZ adds in 16 points in 24 minutes, 6 of 10 from the field. Apparently, 60% is only good enough for fifth from a shooting percentage standpoint for all your starters. 3 of 4 from 3. 3 rebounds, 6 assists. So she was more deferring today in the semis. Also had 3 steals. KK Arnold, 2 steals. And then the bench, she got 9 points from Heckle, 8 points from Zabel, 7 from El Alfie. Blanca had a rough shooting day. Just made 1 shot, 5 points. 1 of 9 from the field. You can have a player go 1 of 9, and they still shot 57%. 64% from 3. Oh, my gosh. And then they were 70-plus from the line. Exactly what I want to see. 75%, 6 of 8. They only got to the free throw line 8 times. 13 steals. Out-rebounded Creighton 43-25. Offensive glass got 17-12. Forced 19 Creighton turnovers. And Creighton only had Kennedy Townsend in double figures, 13 points. It took her 14 shots to get there. Just speaks to defense and what UConn does. Holding Creighton to 33% and 27% from three. So all around, it just start to finish. UConn owned the game. 29-9 after the first quarter. Threw in another 28 in the second. How about 25 more in the third? Yeah, 57-22 at the half. I came on at halftime, posted a short video on social media, just the way the Huskies were playing. There's no team that can hang with them. And I see there's a debate out there right now. Should UConn be the number 1 overall seed, or should it be UCLA? What are we watching? National media. What are we watching? Because UCLA went out there and smoked Iowa, they deserve the number 1 overall seed? Or should we just look back at who's been doing it all season long and who doesn't have a loss and who's coming off a national championship and who, last time the two teams played, it was pretty much a blowout. We'll talk about that as we get into brackets going forward. But maybe they're just trying to create some conversation because I don't see any way. You heard me earlier this season talking about when Texas was getting first place votes. What my thoughts were on that. UConn's 33-0. UConn's 20-0 in conference. UConn's playing the best defense out of anybody in the nation. And UConn has the best player in the nation. And UConn's offense is so efficient. And in the half court, they could play as well. Nobody can match what UConn can do across the board. And the fact that we even have to address that and have the conversation is just, it's laughable, to be honest. But let's see how things play out here. We'll know a week from today where all the rankings play out. But in the Big East semis, and how about the crowd at Mohegan? Packed house yet again. As always. But I feel like it's on another level this season. Just based on how UConn is. How UConn's playing. And how things are transpiring here. With one game to go. Which we'll talk about in the final segment. But goodness gracious. This UConn team, dare I say, keeps getting better and better and better. It's true. Just watching this game. And it's gonna be a transition in the second segment because I want to talk about defense in the second segment. Creighton just could not get into anything. And their head coach talked about it after the game. Gino talked about it after the game as well. Let's just talk about it after the break. And after this short break, we will talk about UConn's defense, Sarah Strong, KK Arnold, what do they bring to the table? And we'll do that in a minute. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number 1 pick for the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. And if you've been watching the show, you know I'm going with Tropical Burst. Tropical Burst is tasty caffeine with island vibes. It's a delicious combination of pineapple and apricot flavors. It's juicy. Fruit-forward tropical profile has a sweet, light tang. It's smooth, rounded flavor. Has a bright and sunny taste impression. It's an island-style fruit punch vibe. And let's be honest, this has been a very long winter here in Connecticut. Why not get a taste of the tropics with 5 Hour Energy's Tropical Burst, giving you an extra push during the long work week grind. 5 Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar. Find your favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Again, Find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy Shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Today's episode is also brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Back in on this Monday edition of Locked On UConn, and we talked about at the end of the first segment, UConn's defense. Sarah Strong, KK Arnold, exactly what they bring to the table. It's everything. It's the head of the UConn defensive attack. And Sarah Strong in the semis. What'd she have? 4 steals in the first 5 minutes? Creighton coach Jim Flandering, he said after the game, he voted for KK Arnold as Defensive Player of the Year. And his comment, I feel bad, he said. Quote, this is from an article by Don Moore, Hartford Courant. Quotes, Sarah must have saw my vote. She had 4 steals in the first 5 minutes. And I feel bad I voted for KK Arnold for Defensive Player of the Year instead of Sarah Strong. Pick your poison. Because the amount of pressure UConn puts on opponents, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. But KK Arnold, because she's front and center, guarding ball handlers, full court, I was just watching her yesterday, makes it so hard for opponents, not even just to get into their offense. Let's just get a pass off and get over half court. Every pass contested by this team. Every shot contested by this team. And the amount of work, I've never seen an opponent, and this is across the board all season long. The opponents of UConn, regardless of who they are, the amount of effort they have to put in, not only to get into their offense, but to get over half court, to make the right passes, to try to get a shot that's open. I've never seen anything like it. Really haven't. And it's because of players like KK Arnold and Sarah Strong. And Strong tied a season high with 6 steals in the semis. KK Arnold only had 2 steals. But the impact that she has defensively, it's spectacular. Because just like on the men's side with Silas Demery, she's the head of the UConn defensive attack. But when things get over half court and you start playing half court offense, Sarah Strong is everywhere. 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 And Gino talked about this at the end. That, yeah, we've been more disruptive this season than maybe the last 10 years. But he's worried about, not worried, but he doesn't know how this will transfer into the NCAA tournament. Because he posed the question yesterday, what happens if we aren't able to create all of these turnovers? Because when the NCAA, this is a quote, when the NCAA tournament comes around, all those teams that you steal it from and run in there and get layups, you're not going to be able to do that in the NCAA tournament for the most part when you get second weekend Final Four. So the question he posed, once we get into the tournament, what happens if we aren't going to be able to create a lot of these turnovers? And he also said that's why we spend so much time working on our half-court offense, which their half-court offense might be just as good as their defense, if not better. Because let's bring up the stats again. The worst starting player shooting percentage yesterday was 60% from AZ Fudd. Sarah Strong went 9 of 11. Sarah Williams, 1 of 1. Ashlyn Shade, 3 of 3. KK Arnold, 8 of 9. AZ Fudd, 6 of 10. There's 5 shots. 6 shots. Excuse me. 6 shots. 6 misses. 27 of 36 from the field were your starters. No. Sorry. No. That's not right. 27 of 33. They're 27 of 33 they shot. They're starting rotation. Which comes to a, oh my gosh. Their starter shot 82% from the field. 82%. I hate to wow. What a performance. And KK Arnold got 9 shots off, 18 points in just 15 minutes. And they handed it over to the bench. Blanca played 24 minutes. Heckel played 23 minutes. Ali Zabel played 22 minutes. And what did I talk about after the first game? On back-to-back-to-back days, when maybe there were some injury concerns there in the back half of the regular season, spread the minutes around. Don't make players play 40-40-40. Like you're going to have to see on the men's side. We'll talk about that as we get into the Big East tournament. But just UConn, their starting rotation. I don't think I've seen a team ever shoot 82% from the field. Your starters. So when Gino says, hey, what if we can't get all these steals and force all these turnovers in the NCAA tournament? Well, guess what? Your offense is equally, if not better, than your defense. Which is very hard to say because UConn's got the best defense in the nation. UConn's forced the most amount of turnovers at 24.6 per game. And they only allow opponents to shoot 33%. What this team is doing, dare I say it's all-time stuff? I was just watching the game yesterday, and I know. The Big East of today on the women's side and the men's side, let's be honest about it. The Big East of today is not the Big East of what it was 2013, pre-2013. We know that. Top to bottom, the depth's not there. The talent's not there. And you're seeing the Huskies roll. But put this team up against some of the other greats that this school has had. They can compete. I still think the DT years, the Maya Moore years, that's 1-2 for me. And then Breonna Stewart, 4. This team's up there. I got to say, it's up there with some of the all-times. Third all-time in terms of margin of victory average at 38 points a game. There's a reason. Because of how efficient they are on the offensive side of the floor and how disruptive and impactful they are on defense. So what does that mean as we look ahead to Monday night's Big East Championship game against Villanova? We'll talk about that after the break. This is Mazda's moving the game forward for those who show there's more to the score than what's on screen. Just like, let's talk about UConn's defense. Sarah Strong, KK Arnold, AZ Fudd pulled in 11 steals in yesterday's win. That doesn't just happen. You got to plan that out. It's a mental thing. It's a preparation thing. And those stats and these performances remind us of what it really takes to raise the bar. It's that extra work off the court that makes you so efficient on offense, makes you so efficient on defense, and studying the film, dialing it in every detail, giving it that extra fire, and having that grit in the I never quit attitude. UConn's defense, we just talked about it, best in the nation. And it's not just because of the on-court play. It's about all the preparation, all the film study, all offseason, working to be the best you could possibly be. And that's exactly what Sarah Strong and KK Arnold and AZ Fudd and the rest of this UConn roster have done. Here at Mazda, they put the same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Back in on this Monday edition of Locked On UConn, and we are now looking ahead to Monday night's Big East Tournament Championship game. It's going to pit UConn up against Villanova. UConn-Villanova, there's the history there on the women's side. Just like on the men's side, you've got that history there. And to match up that, I think it's the best matchup for the conference. I think it's going to have the most eyeballs on it. Villanova is the second best team in conference. No question. 25-6 overall, 16-4 in conference play. And they took down Seton Hall, the 3 seed, 62-48 yesterday at Mohegan. And they had a double-digit lead after one, 18-7. Bryn McCurry had 16 points. Jasmine Basco had 15. Danae Carter had 11. Those are your scores in double figures for Villanova yesterday. They struggled from 3. Game could have been a much bigger margin. They were only 5-28 from 3. Perfect from the line. Shot 39% to Seton Hall's 33. Seton Hall only was able to get 19% from 3. And only 11-19 from the free throw line. So Seton Hall makes their free throws. Maybe this game's a lot closer. Because Villanova didn't miss one. But this is all about UConn, Villanova in the championship game. And how have the regular season matchups played out? Because late in the year, remember, this is when UConn was, I don't want to say struggled, but went through a little dip in their terms of their performance. Maybe not all their players were available. Last time these two teams played, not that long ago. We're talking about February 18th. UConn only won 83-69. Villanova was up after one, 22-19. Second quarter was even. So last time these two teams played a few weeks ago, Villanova was up at the half, 40-37. So this has an opportunity to be a very competitive game for the Big East title. Now, if UConn plays like they have been in this tournament, I expect a 20-plus win. But we've seen on court a couple weeks back that Villanova can be competitive with the Huskies, or at least a half. And you take away the third quarter, game was tied. UConn won the third in that game, 26-12. The overall margin of victory is 14. So for 3 quarters, Villanova hung. It was just that third quarter that put UConn over the top. So I'm interested to see how the Huskies handle today. Obviously, they'll have the home court, packed house of Mohegan for the title. I think the key is what we've already talked about on the Today Show. The key is defense, and the key is being efficient offensively. Now, do they need to go 82% for your starters from the field? No. Will they be able to recreate that? I don't think I'll ever see another starting unit, a starting five, shoot 82% from the field. But just be efficient. Play your game. Don't force things. Run the offense. And the way UConn runs their offense, they're always getting open shots. I think that's just what they got to focus on today. Sarah Strong, AZ Fudd. And last time these two teams played, AZ led the way, 25 points. It was 4 or 6 from 3 that day. Sarah Strong at 21 and 12. Ashlyn Shade got to start, 13 points. So what I'm looking for today on Monday night is continuation of what we've seen throughout this entire Big East tournament. Expecting a UConn dominating performance. And if they do that, I think they will do that, and they will do that. They'll close and again check off one of these boxes for the goals of this year, which would be a Big East championship, which would be their 31st conference tournament title. 24th as members of the Big East. They've won it 12 straight years. Just think about those numbers. 31 conference tournament titles if they win tonight. It'd be their 24th as a member of the Big East. It would be their 13th in a row. Can they get lucky 13? I say yes. I say UConn rolls. I say on Monday night, I'm coming back on here and saying second trophy of the weekend. And the second of many that's going to be coming up here. Because all of these teams that are playing, men's basketball, women's basketball, men's hockey, women's hockey, have opportunities to not just win conference championships. You have an opportunity across all of those sports to compete for a national title as well, which we're going to get to as we move on here later this week. But for today, all eyes on the Big East Women's Tournament Championship game. UConn, Villanova, Mohegan Sun, 7 p.m., Peacock, NBC Sports Network. So that's all the time I've got for today's show. Stay tuned. Later today, we'll also be talking men's basketball. We'll be recapping the weekend of hockey as well. We got to talk about that Hockey East Championship game. We will, as the women already looking ahead to the NCAA tournament. Bracket released yesterday. But thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On UConn. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On UConn on social media so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On UConn ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonucon.supercast.com to join the club. Again, head to lockedonucon.supercast.com to join the club. We will be back post-game. Maybe halftime as well, as part of coverage for the Big East Tournament Championship. Also check back for additional shows as we go on through this Monday. But for now, see ya!